Hello, all you people out there. Welcome back to the Turn 1 Scoop. I'm Michelle, one of your co-hosts, and I've got Pablo with me here as well. Hello, Pablo.
Hey, this is Pablo reporting from the Halimar Depths. I've got a whole bunch of merfolk just looking at me, wondering why I'm just rearranging the top 3 cards in my library. But, welcome back, guys.
You're rearranging the top 3 cards, but you're not scrying.
Yeah, I think that's why these merfolk are looking at me funny. They're like, why don't you just pick the ones that you want and put the rest at the bottom? But, I'm in Halimar Depths. I have to do as the Halimarese do.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. I
Mm.
actually have a Halimar Depths in Yenit. She likes to see the top cards, and then we rearrange them, and then see what we want to bring out for free.
Yeah, and hopefully that is going to be a little bit of a clue as to what our episode is about today. Not that we've given hints on the previous episode either.
Well, if you've listened to the previous episode, we talked about white, and so this week we're gonna talk about the next color that's on the back of a card, which is blue, the best color, my favorite color.
Yes, blue. I next on the Wooburg wheel, the problematic favorite of Dr. Richard Garfield, and also the color that I have the most mixed feelings about. And the second color of the Wooburg wheel, the letter U, that's for blue. We're talking about blue today.
All right. Well, as I've said, blue's my favorite color. What is your favorite color out of curiosity, Pablo?
On any given day, it's one of the Bant colors. It used to be green, and at heart, like, I still feel that green Timmy energy going. What I like playing is green. What I'd like to think of myself is white, and what I end up
Mm-hmm.
playing is blue. So that's
Uh,
if you want to like a little rubric of who Pablo is as a player, that's what happens usually.
so at the end of the day, you're still a dirty, dirty blue player.
Oh my God. Well, we have some theories to get into as to why that happened, but we can get that after we do like the basics of blue.
All right. So I guess before we get to add a context here or anything, so
Hmm.
just starting off simply here. So blue has got the symbol of a drop of water. So
Hmm.
all islands and stuff like that, right? And so
Yeah, the
they're big.
seas.
Yeah. Uh. So kind of the big themes for blue is just the concept of knowledge and technology, and pretty much just kind of seeking protection through knowledge.
Protection through knowledge. So basically, white is very. When it protects you, it's usually with something that it keeps on the field. A lot of enchantments, a lot of creatures, a lot of taxing effects. It does have a lot of removal. Let's make that clear. White does have a
Mhm.
lot of spot removal, but that's mostly for permanents that are already there. The way that blue protects you is through your own knowledge of what's about to happen, and that's in the form of counter spells.
Mhm.
Um, Blue says, yes, with this magic, we will afford you protection, but you have to know what's coming, or at least prepare yourself in the situation that you will know what's coming. So that's mostly counter spells. I mean, blue does have some stacks pieces, but whenever somebody's thinking of blue as a protection, it's gonna be like, haha, I leave 2 islands open. What are you gonna do about it?
And that how also kind of plays into the idea that blue is just very magically knowledgeable, magically talented enough to even know the inner workings of the magic system to be able to prevent something from happening before it even happens or while it's happening at the time.
Yeah, no, it's very predictive. It's very reactive. Also kind of snooty, kind of snobbish. It's like, oh, I know exactly what you do before you do it. It attracts a certain subset of players who think they're way smarter than they are, which is why I have a conflicted relation with blue because I don't want to say that I'm uppity, but blue players, come on.
I mean, I also like to pretend that I'm very snooty, but a lot of the times I get myself into big brain plays where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, bro,
Yeah,
okay?
there's a lot of dichotomies here. Blue likes to think that red is some kind of weird savage for always just lightning bolting their problems away. But
hmm
let's be real, okay? You're not some kind of calculating genius when you see somebody cast extra turn spell or a Wrath of God, and you're going like, oh, with my galaxy brain, I know that what's gonna happen, and I play counter spell. Dude, you're just basically casting a lightning bolt on a card that's just in the casting zone and not on the battlefield. It's not that you're not that smart, dude. You are not that smart.
Oh, I feel called out, Pablo, but this is fine.
It's okay. I'm calling myself out too. This is blue. Welcome to blue. You're gonna have a lot of self hate once you're running. If you really stop to think about it, if you're really a blue player and you're sitting there thinking like, "Damn, is this all that I do? Is this all that I do when I call myself a genius?" I don't know, man. Anyway,
Well, welcome to Blue, you
welcome to
nerds.
blue. You are a nerd. No, you're a geek because nerds are actually smart.
Oh, Jesus, Pablo, you're killing them.
Uh,
You're killing
it's okay. They can just counterspell it anyway. Anyway, it's fine.
them. Okay. All right, and you were talking about Blue not liking red so much before because they think they're savages, which kind of comes brings into the whole point here that the enemy
Hmm.
colors are red and green.
Oh yeah, red and green.
For Blue.
So that's going to be the wedge. If we're going in magic terms, the wedge is going to be called Timur. While they are enemy colors, honestly, Timur is one of the strongest synergies of enemy colors in magic.
Yeah.
Just because they have the raw spell casting of blue and red with the solid permanent support of green. So like if you ever see a teamer deck, there's a lot of CDH teamer decks. There's a lot of casual boogeymen like Animar and Calamax that are just like, ah, damn it, it's teamer again. Just because blue is the anchor point in there, that means that there's going to be a lot of spell synergies, whether the other two colors like it or not.
So would you say that a lot of these teamer decks are like spell slinger decks, kind of? Because I know that Calamax is indeed a spell slingery type of commander.
Spell slinging. It's still a little bit tied to green liking permanence on the ground, but you see a lot of free casting, like cascade effects in Teamer, red, blue, and green. You see a lot of just like Calamax was doing, clone effects, whether it's cloning spells or cloning actual permanents. Riku of the Twin Reflections is comes to mind. That's a legendary commander that just, hey, I'm gonna copy that. Hey, I'm gonna copy that. So Teamer has a
Hmm.
lot of that going on. Very very powerful. Wedge.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so like lore wise though, the reason why blue and red are kind of like enemy colors is that blue primarily kind of focuses on thinking and strategy, whereas red focuses more on like freedom and action and passion and emotion. So blue is very much so like no,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
freedom
yeah,
or no personal freedom
yeah.
specifically.
Red likes to be in the moment, act in the moment. Impulse draw basically is Red's whole deal, and there's a lot of mirrors between the two of them. Blue is the color of drawing cards. Red also has that in a very like mocking way of saying like, yeah, I'm gonna draw cards too, but they're gonna be in the exile zone, so I'm gonna need to cast them now. If I can't cast them now, then they probably weren't any good anyway. While blue is there hoarding all the cards together, hiding behind Ristic Studies and Nezahals and going like, why? Why would I ever get rid of any of this?
Just in case, just in case this comes up later, I'm gonna hold all these cards, okay?
Yep, yep, yep.
And then, of course, the reason why blue doesn't really like green so much lore-wise is because they kind of disagree with each other about the nature of change, right? And so blue uh, always wants to constantly kind of change what's going on around the world, and wants to always kind of constantly improve on themselves. And green is not so much different in that sense, but it kind of sees artificial change as kind of like an affront to nature and almost kind of presumptuous.
Yeah, in theory. But in
In theory.
actual fucking practice, blue and green are the most diabolical twins of the magic world. They are basically the same fucking color at this point. Every year there's a broken ass Simic card just waiting to be unleashed and banned in the same cycle on the magic poppy. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
They're almost like best friends nowadays. But from what I know, this is like a recent kind of change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around the early 2000s, basically before a little bit after the Ravnica block, Blue and green were still this. They very much did the whole we're enemy colors, so we're only going to focus on one thing that we both do. Um,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, like one of the few things that they sort of did together was counters, and this is what was highlighted in the Ravnica blocks and the Return of Ravnica. Basically, they gave a fuck about like, hey, +1/+1 counters. We'll do something there. But but let me butt some more in here.
But
Very recently, Wizards started putting more draw power into green. And that's all it took. That's all it took. Blue saw, like, whoa, wait a second. You're drawing cards? And green was like, yeah. Are you drawing cards? And green is like, yo, uh, if I like drawing cards and you like drawing cards, and then
we can
suddenly
draw cards together.
and then they got married in like a little weird half atheist half shamanistic ceremony, and they're just like, yeah, we love each other so much, let's keep drawing cards forever. um, and now for a pair of enemy colors, they are just uh, the poster child of Magic's unbalanced policies. Basically everything that white wishes it could do, blue and green are just there like thumbing their noses at white.
Oh God. Well, I guess speaking of white, the ally colors for blue are white and black.
Oh, and I know that's it's called that is a shard, which is all the allied colors together.
Hmm.
I know that that's somebody's favorite. Who could that be?
Woohoo! How would you know, Pablo? So my favorite I guess color combination, whether it be shard or wedge, is Esper.
Esper, yeah,
Uh 'Cause Esper is great, okay? Just lots of control. Let me just kind of sit here and not let anybody play anything at all while I just kind of look at my board and I'm like, oh yes,
yeah,
only I play. No, you play. Only me.
yep. And since it is blue centered again, it focuses a lot into that control aspect. Yeah, there's not much else to say. So I remember when they were doing the lore articles on Esper, it was basically a really nice, cold, dark place where you weren't
Sweet.
really gonna get threatened, but it's kind of impersonal. Like you can hear like a dripping faucet like really far away, and it's always like the thermostat is 2 degrees colder than what's comfortable. But nobody's bugging you. It's like a really drafty library.
That sounds quite comfy.
Mm,
Which is fine because it's my favorite color combination anyway, so it all works out.
yeah.
But lore wise, blue and white kind of share the same idea of like discipline and just kind of the general desire to make the world better.
hmm So white and blue, they love control. They love just telling people what to do or telling themselves what to do. Either way, if blue is all about controlling yourself and controlling your actions to what is happening outside, white is all about controlling others. So when they're together, it's just a nice old control party. Again, who knows if they know how to win, but at
But as
least
long as
at
they
least
can
they'll know.
control.
Yeah, at least they'll
Yeah.
know that everybody else isn't.
Well, oh God, this sounds like such a terrible totalitarian government. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. They
sounds
are
very
basically
totalitarian.
1984. They are 1984 the color
Oh my
pairing.
God, gross. I love it. And then and then with black they kind of share the same rationality and just straightforwardness, right? So black kind of sees the world for all of it is as it is, and kind of accepts all the bad that is in the world, and instead kind of focuses on how to make good of kind of like the situation it already has. And
Hmm.
blue kind of sees that and it's like, oh, this is very resourceful.
Yeah. The way that I remember it being explained is blue is about uh, so they both basically really like taking control of their own destiny. Blue
Hmm.
is more focused on the journey part of that destiny, the knowledge that you need to make yourself better, etc. They enjoy that part. They enjoy like the I'm gonna pull all my citations together. I'm gonna get like this really nice font. It's gonna be great. My presentation's gonna be awesome. Um, Black is more concerned with after the presentation where you get the money from the deal. They are
Ah,
there, yeah. So they, if we're talking about like a business loan or something, Blue is there like, I'm gonna open up a food truck, so let me research everything that I need to know about the food truck. Black is there thinking of, he's doing the same thing, or she's doing the same thing, but Black is concerned with, oh man, I'm gonna make so much money once this food truck is done. They do the same thing. They're looking at the same thing. A little bit the perspective difference. Eventually, they'll reach the same place.
yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Blue's like big thing is that everything kind of starts off with a blank slate, right? And then there's
Hmm.
not really a destiny or fate that's tied to anything,
Hmm.
and really you just kind of make yourself what you want to make yourself.
Hmm. Yeah. And Black is all about, don't listen to those other losers. I will make myself what I want to be, etc., etc. They phrase those two ways of thinking differently, but it's the same way of thinking at the end of it.
Hmm. And I guess that kind of works well for the both of them.
Well, it works
And
very
oh,
well for the singular person that they are.
yes.
It kind of sucks for the rest of the table.
Well, I mean that's not what that's fine because again, I play, you know, play.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. Esper in a nutshell.
But just kind of like going over I guess just the general themes of blue, right? Things that they do share with black and white. But along with all of those other things, they also kind of play around with the idea of nurture over nature.
Hmm.
Uh right? And so, like I said earlier, you kind of make yourself who you are versus like, oh, you're just kind of born the way you are, and then thought over action. So, reasoning over passion, which is why red and blue don't really get so well along with each
Hmm.
other.
Yeah.
And then just kind of the idea that the future is more important than the past or the present. So you work towards the future.
Well, yeah, that is the reason why Blue has all these extra turn spells. And I guess also why Blue is so mad at Red, because Red also has extra turn spells, but Red has these shitty extra turn spells that are also impulsive that goes like, I only
Uh,
ever need this next extra turn. If I can't win by then, I don't need to keep playing the game because I've already lost. Blue doesn't like that. Blue is trying to recur the millions of extra turns that it's going to get back, but you know.
Well, I mean, if they both have extra turn spells, maybe they just combine their efforts and just extra turn all day every day.
Well, I
Disgusting.
mean, we can get into the color pairs, the guild pairings now if you'd like.
Yeah, let's go ahead and since we've already talked about the colors anyway, we can go ahead and split this here.
Okay, all right, let's go.
All right, and so we'll go ahead and start off with the allied colors here with blue and white. You said earlier, very big control-y colors. By the way, blue and white is are Azoria's colors.
Hmm. We already touched it on the white episode, but we'll retouch it here. They're the law. They're the law. They're the law. They're the law. If blue is about controlling oneself and how the direct interactions between oneself and the others are, and white is about controlling the world around you and how people in general act, you get the law. You get just plain old writs and dictates. You get Azorius commanders like Grand Arbiter Augustine, who
Ooh,
basically just
yummy.
yummy, yummy. I
Sorry.
mean, I guess for some people he's yummy.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
But for other people, all they see is everybody else pays one more while I pay one less. Um,
Mhm.
Blue and white is all about dictating how other people play. There is a little subset that's the blinking nature of blue and white. Yeah, there's like there's some justifications about why that's happening. Like blue cares about the ephemeral nature of magic, and white's all about like the protective nature of shifting people in and out of existence just to save them.
Mhm.
But let's be for fucking real here. The only reason why Blink Tribal is such a big thing in EDH is because they're the only two colors that actually do it. so so like let's not pretend that there's like a big overarching deeper meaning to it. It's just they both have the highest number of cards that can blink and flicker, so that's why it's a subset. Otherwise, those are the taxation colors. Those are the stacks colors. They are the ones that will lay down the law and enforce the law.
That makes sense. I have a strong emotional attachment to blue and white purely
Yeah.
because the very first deck that I made was a blue white bird deck, and
Oh.
honestly, all that it was just that you were there, Pablo. You helped me make this deck when I was a little magic baby,
Yeah, a little
magic
mage,
baby.
a little apprentice.
But essentially, all it was just I make birds, birds attack. Yes, very simple.
Well, I mean, that is pretty. That's actually, you know what? There is one other thing that blue and white focus on, and that's something that Wizards of the Coast has been pushing more recently is flying tribal.
Ooh.
White and blue are the most famous for their flyers, other than reds, dragons, and blacks demons. Green can go fuck off with their fairies and insects. like that's the only thing that I can think of that's flying in green is fucking insects and fairies. But a lot of the support cards for flying are in blue and white, and
Mhm.
blue is the color that usually either gives you flying or gives you bonuses when you're flying. White is the color that like checks to see if you are already flying and gives you something on top of that that might be like maybe they give you vigilance or something. But flying tribal is the other smaller subset that white and blue has. I think it's growing though. There's in the last 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot bigger of a push to make flying mechanic tribal matter.
I mean, that sounds like my kind of gameplay here, Pablo. Some
A,
flyers all day, every day.
a Kangi is waiting for it. Michelle Kangi, the Sky Warden, and his
uh,
permutations are waiting.
I mean, maybe, maybe I lean real hard into flying, even harder than I've already been leaning into. But we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. Well, but we should probably move on to the next color pairing.
All right, so moving on to blue and black, good old Demir colors.
Good. There's nothing good about this color pairing.
Oh God, okay.
Fuck this color pairing. I hate it. I hate it so
Oh
much.
God, you seem to have such a very strong emotional reaction to this.
Look, there's mill, and then there's mill when it's being mean. Okay. Mono blue mill is it's fine. You accept it. You consign yourself to seeing, okay, this deck is just all about running my deck out. Blue and black makes it more toxic because
Oh.
now they're like, but this specific card is what you mill first, or you look for this specific. It's just such a God. I hate black and blue.
So, so big mill for black and blue, huh?
Yeah. Black and blue. The philosophy behind that is basically it tries to remove a threat in the way that black and blue kind of like meld together.
Hmm.
And if you were talking about lore wise, blue knows that knowledge is the greatest weapon, and black goes, "Oh, the other players have a weapon. I can't let that happen. We got to take away the weapon." That means taking away the other player's knowledge. That means taking away their deck or taking away their hand sizes, etc. That's what blue and black do. White and
Just.
blue
Mhm.
lock up the board so that you can't do anything. Black and blue try to take things away from you before you even get them, because that's how
Oh
they see the
man,
world.
what a fun shard, Bobble.
Dude, I mean, like, here. when people think of nasty blue players, I think they think of the Demir side of blue more often than not. When you see these Gruul players going, ah, blue terrible, blue dumb and stupid, and me smart for not playing blue, most of the time they're thinking of the Demir side of blue.
That makes a lot of sense, I suppose.
God, Demir sucks.
I have no personal qualms with Demir, but I can understand how milling or discarding your hand all the time can get quite irritating.
Yeah, mega ultra irritating. But thankfully we can move on from this topic. Unlike in an EDH game where you just slowly watch yourself getting milled out for 60 cards a turn.
All right, and so blue and red are the is it color combinations, and as far as I know, those are the colors that have a lot of like spell slingy kind of effects going on, right?
Oh yeah, no. That's the one thing that red and blue. Here's the thing. As as with every like polar opposites, there's a lot of things that they are sort of mirroring off of each other and
Hmm.
just doing in the extremes that blue and red show. They have this weird love-hate relationship, hate-hate relationship, really. But they do a lot of things that the other colors just can't compete with. We already talked a little bit about it. They have a lot of weird card draw. Red has that impulse thing going on. They have the most extra turn spells between them, so is it extra turns is always a consideration whenever you're playing against them. They are also the color of. Here's the thing. I actually really like this color pairing. My second favorite color, if I have to take green out of my favorites,
Hmm.
is red. So
Oh.
Jeskai is another wedge that we'll be talking about soon enough. But
Hmm.
but red and blue is actually something that I really like. The problem is it's also the color of lol random. Um,
Oh.
if we're using like ancient internet parlance,
Lol random.
yeah.
Okay.
They're the ones that just spend all day flipping coins and like laughing at how cool it is to flip coins. They're not as mean about it as Rakdos is, because they'll flip coins
Ah.
to Rakdos being black red. Rakdos will flip coins to see which finger you cut off. Blue and red, they flip coins to see how many coins they'll flip afterwards. It's just a mess. Um,
So just big chaos is what you're telling me with the red and blue, really.
right. They draw cards and they hurt people when they draw cards. They have big, super duper flashy spells that are very risky at the same time. Um,
Hmm.
and they always have a lot of spell effects going on. Whenever they have creatures, those creatures are usually very weak presence wise on the battlefield, but they boost your spells up by like so much
Ah.
whenever they're around. That's is it right there. Really great guild. Here's what happens with any deck with blue. White doesn't do this as bad because sometimes it does do aggro strategies with weenies. Almost every blue deck is going to take it's very easy for them to just take massive amounts of time to do their turn. It just whether it's any of the colors that we're talking about beforehand and any of the colors that we're talking now, their spells just take the longest to resolve. Their spells are the ones that you have to do math to figure out which targets are legal, which targets aren't. They're the ones that like
Hmm.
care so much about the stack. It's like, where am I on the stack? Where am I on the stack? And that's just the nature of blue.
Yeah. I guess that's just because it's like blue cares a lot about kind of figuring down to the nitty gritty what's going on at any time. So it's like, okay, all of these things are very important. I'm gonna be really what's the term? Micromanaging about all these things.
Right. It's not that playing blue makes you a smart person. It's that you should be a smart person before you start playing blue because
Oh.
it's so. the interactions that blue makes on the table are so hard to resolve that what ends up happening is a lot of people get drawn into this reputation of blue being like, oh yeah, that's a smart people color. I want to be smart too. Um, and then they don't really think of the repercussions of what happens when they cast blue spells. And that's when people get mad because there's just blue players who don't know what the fuck they're doing and casting these spells and just like wasting a lot of people's time. Um, if you want to be that stereotypical or that idealized, not stereotypical, because a stereotypical is somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. The idealized version of a blue player is you know exactly how this spell is going to affect what's happening in the board. Not that you're like some
Mhm.
kind of Machiavellian Hannibal Lecter, Kira, and L from Death Note, just like, I know everything. I have the biggest brain. No, that's not it, dude. That's not. Yes, you're smart, but not in that way.
Not that we're trying to gatekeep gatekeep with blue or anything. If you
Oh
want to
no,
play
I'm
blue,
very
that's
much
a...
gatekeeping with blue.
Oh God,
Fuck off!
Pablo.
Every
Uh,
brainlet in the world, leave. Go to Gruul.
oh,
Gruul is a good, honest color pairing that is just matted with respect. I respect Gruul.
oh no, I'm on the opposite spectrum here. As someone who does not know nearly as much magic as my good old friend Pablo over here, I'm on the end where it's like, be a blue player if you want to be blue. That's totally fine. Just there's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's okay.
Yeah, there. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess that's something we can both agree on. Blue has a learning curve. Blue has a learning curve. Whether or not you're smart when you start playing blue, you are going to learn things about magic. It will force you to learn about magic, which is I guess is a good thing about blue.
Yeah, yeah. So play blue if you want to play blue. Don't worry at the moment if you are not smart enough to play blue,
Oh
okay? No-
god. Yeah,
I'm trying to be nice, Pablo.
no, play. Look, listeners, play whatever you want. We're just giving you a little bit of a heads up. The stack gets messy when blue's involved.
It does. But moving on from blue and red, the last color, dual color combination is blue and green, which is the Simic colors, which oh, oh, they are great together.
Oh man, oh man, Simic. Goddamn fucking Simic. Oko, Hydroid Krasis, Uro. Just you don't need if you are in standard or modern, even legacy or vintage, historic, any other format of Magic. You don't need to learn these names. You don't need to know what the fucking hell these cards do, because they're already fucking banned. And they're just for an enemy
Agree.
color pairing, there's so much synergy. There's always some. There used to be some drawbacks when playing
Mhm.
enemy color pairings. Even with Is It right now with red and blue, there's still some drawbacks to playing them. Right, like diminished board presence and a little bit of a chaos factor whenever you're casting your spells.
Yeah.
There is no drawback to playing Simic. There is absolutely
Hmm.
no drawback with playing blue and green.
You're telling me maybe I should become a Simic player instead of a dirty Esper player.
Dude, if you want if you want to be the
Ooh.
dirtiest parts of Magic, be Sultai, be black, blue, green. But that's just from the perspective of pushed colors, like pushed color mechanics. It's not really like blue and green's innate fault. It's more the balance that Wizards tries to keep. They have basically it's almost like a zero sum game, etc., or like a really big piece of pie. The
Hmm.
color wheel is just a really big pie, and green and blue just take up such a big space of it. They just have so much real estate in every other color's duties. The one thing that maybe they don't do very well is permanent removal, but even then they have so many color breaks that it's not even really an issue. It used to be blue's weakness was dealing with permanents that are on the battlefield, and green's weakness was dealing with creatures. But they have so many bends and breaks in the color pie power now that that's not even really a thing. The only thing that they sort of have as a weakness now is like permanent board wipe.
Hmm.
Um, that's still like White's main like bastion of I can do this better than anybody else. But Blue has Cyclonic Rifts and Whelming Waves.
Hmm.
They have ways to board wipe, and
But it's
Green,
not permanent, right? It's
yeah,
all kind of just bounce, comes back to the hand. It just kind of delays everything and doesn't get rid of it permanently.
yeah. And here's the thing: in Commander, though, unfortunately, in Commander, we are trending towards a meta where it's more about targeted removal rather than board wipes. Even if you watch like a few of the more famous streamers and YouTubers, you'll notice that in the templates that they give you, it used to be like, hey, just have 5 pieces of interaction, single target interaction, and 5 board wipes, right?
Hmm.
um, they're very much saying nowadays, yo, bring out 10 pieces of interaction, single target interaction, and scale down your board wipes to 2 and 3. Like,
Wow.
the things that White can do very well in Commander, the importance of those things are being diminished. Like every year, it's just, yeah, White, you can do board wipes, but who cares about those board
Oh
wipes?
God, we're on a different color and we're still shitting on white.
We can't stop shitting on White. That's just the world we
Oh
live in.
no.
I can praise Blue some more. Blue just keeps on getting better
I
and better.
I feel like we're praising blue, sure, but we're also like also shitting on blue because it's such a degenerate color.
It is such a
It-
degenerate color. There's a reason. There's a reason why red and green players are just like, well, not red and green, red players, basically red players. Very honest color that red. Very honest color that red. The blue gets the hate that it deserves. All right.
I don't. I'm not arguing against it at all. As a fellow blue player, I understand that I'm a degenerate. Okay.
Hmm. I'm
Uh,
glad. I'm glad you know.
well, as I was doing my research here, I was looking through all the kind of general mechanics and rules, and oh boy, does blue have a lot of rules and mechanics that go along with it, which is, I guess why it's so strong because it's just got a bunch of shit that it can do.
Oh man, we were talking about this earlier with one of our friends that really does hate blue. She brought up a very good point, man. She was like, you have all these honest Naya color players, you have all these honest green players, honest white players, honest red players. Black is never really honest, so they're out of the equation. But you have these three Naya colors, and they're just like, they're trying to do their thing. They're trying so hard to do this thing, and Blue just comes in and bullies the shit out of them with their counter spells and control magic. And these blue green, blue red, not blue green. These red players, these red players, green players, white players. They sort of like, well, other than red and green, who has a little bit of counterplay against blue, none of us really
Hmm.
have protection against blue.
Yeah, they just
So
kind of sit there and take it all, and they're like, hey, "We can't do anything about this. I hate this."
yeah, and then that hate grows so much, then they go, you know what? I'm gonna splash blue just so I can have some protection, just a little bit, and that slippery slope grows into more protection. I just want to have one counter spell. I just want to have 2 counter spells. Maybe if I have some deck manipulation, this will be better. And then you wake up one morning and you are a dirty, dirty, dirty Simic player with nothing but just card draw and ramp and counter spells that make a beast for whatever reason. It's blue breeds blue more than any other color.
True. Or you can be like our said friend and lean completely hard in the opposite direction and just have a hate boner for blue all the time and vow to never, ever, ever, ever touch blue ever.
Yeah, well, good. Good for her. We need people like that to remind the rest of us blue players that we're terrible, terrible trash.
this is this is fine. But like speaking of all the dumb shit that blue can do, right? So
Mm,
blue's got some specific keywords that kind of go into the color, right?
yeah.
Going with flash, which is shared with black and green, flying, which we've mentioned earlier, that's shared with white and black, and then hexproof that's shared with green.
Hmm. No surprise, all of these are fucking busted.
Oh
all
God.
of these, all of these are so good. Every form of good evasion, every form of one of the things that Magic you have to always take care of doing, especially in Commander, is playing around other people. You can't let it rule you
Mhm.
entirely. It is something that you have to worry about. But basically, flying, you don't have to care about the other person's creatures anymore. Hexproof,
Yeah, you
you
could just go over them.
exactly.
But
Hexproof, you don't even have to care about any of their spells. Flash, you don't even have to care if it's your turn anymore. It's just Blue's so good.
everything is in your hands, okay? You have the power to do everything at
Yeah.
any time, anywhere. Blue don't give a shit, okay?
Yeah, Blue just does not give a shit about the rules. Blue makes the rules.
I mean, one of Blue's kind of big things is the idea that they can manipulate time and information. We were talking earlier about like, all the extra turn spells and all that other stuff, and that kind of plays into the lore wise aspect of it.
hmm
But they're also famous for card draw.
Yeah. The deck represents your brain, your memories. So obviously, Blue's always going to be drawing cards. We touched a little bit about this on the White episode about how there's conditional draw and unconditional draw.
Hmm.
Blue has the most unconditional draw and light conditioned draw. We have cards like Heuristic Study, where all you have to do is wait for other people to cast spells. You have just regular draw spells like Stroke of Genius or
Hmm.
Blue Sun Zenith. That the text on the card is just period. Hey, pay some
Draw a
mana,
card.
draw some cards.
Mm-hmm.
Even green, well, green does have a few things that are unconditional draw. Even green usually has to have some creatures on board for it to
Mhm.
draw cards. So like creatures damaging other players, or you just having creatures in general. Black has to have you sacrifice something to draw those cards. Red literally says if you don't use these cards that I'm drawing, you throw them in the trash. And of course you have white that just does have nothing.
Just don't draw a forehead.
Yeah, dude. Blue asks the least of you to draw the cards. Blue just asks you to be playing blue to draw cards.
Yeah, and so which is part of the reason why it's just so strong, right? You can just
hmm
keep drawing answers, usually at any time,
Yeah.
and so you'll always have something up your sleeve. And
Yeah.
of course, the other really famous thing about blue is that, of course, they have counter spells,
Uh,
spells that counter other spells.
yeah. That's so strong in its own way because it's just unconditional. Like I'm throwing that word out a lot, but white has the most removal, the most varied removal, but a lot of the times that removal is conditional. Even if it's just something like Path to Exile, which seems like it's almost unconditional in itself, the condition of White's removal is it has to be on the battlefield.
Hmm.
When something is on the battlefield, there's things that you can do when you're targeting it with a removal spell. You can flicker it, you can blink it, you can give it hexproof, you can counter the spell that's targeting it. So there's ways to interact with a removal spell um, when you're in any other color. Like if black is trying to Doomblade, which is basically just destroy target creature, your spell or your creature on the field. Your creature needs to be on the field as a condition of those spells.
Yeah, but there's just a lot less to do about it if the spell hasn't even hit the board yet and someone's
Exactly.
already trying to interact with it.
Exactly. There's a lot of spells out there that say protect this permanent. The the proportion of spells that say protect this permanent versus protect this spell on the stack is minuscule.
Hmm.
And
I mean, there are cards that say the spell can't be countered,
yeah,
and there are cards that are what is the term, Pablo? Split second.
split second. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of those.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The only protection from blue's counter spells and stack interaction usually is just more blue.
Or counter
When I was
spells.
talking about blue breeds blue, this is what I mean. Blue absolutely breeds blue. It just tells you, hey man, you'll never beat me, so just join me. Unless you're red and you just smash him in the face, be like, fuck you. But
Hey, Pablo,
yeah,
you want to know what my current favorite counter spell is?
what would that be?
Ashiok's Eraser.
Oh my god. See? Even blue! Even when you think you're protecting yourself from blue, blue finds a way.
So
Blue.
just as a little, just as a little bit of an idea of what Ashiok's Eraser is, right? So Ashiok's Eraser is an enchantment, and it's quite pricey for a counter spell, right? So it's a 4 cost spell that has flash,
Hmm.
but when Ashiok's Erasure enters the battlefield, you can exile a target spell. And your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as his exiled card, which pretty much effectively gets around being able to
Everything.
counter. Yes, yes.
There is no protection from that other than of course countering Ashiok's erasure itself. But
Yes.
but blue is the only color that does that. As you know, well, I mean, other colors can. I think red can sort of do it. White can sort of do it. But blue is the only one that has stuff like this. Blue has Venser. Blue has Unsubstantiate. Blue has Ashiok's Erasure, which I was talking about. Blue has Narset's Reversal. All these spells are the ones that basically say, "Yo, is there a spell going on the stack? Oh, I can't counter it? Well, how about I just delete it?
Just delete
How about I mean, yeah, I
it.
guess you're stopping me from countering you, but what if I just put it somewhere else though? What if I don't even counter? I'm just gonna put it somewhere else for a while.
Just safekeeping, you know.
Yeah,
Just,
that's just fucking blue. God damn it,
uh,
blue.
out of curiosity, can Ashiok's Eraser deal with cards that have split second, or is split second just that's it?
Split seconds is just that's it because you can't
Okay.
you can't cast more spells or abilities on top
After
of split
the. Hmm.
blah, blah blah blah. You can't cast more spells after split second, so yeah, it stops that shit
Okay,
acceleration.
okay. So if you've got split second spells, then fine, you're safe from the wrath of blue. But
uh,
not for
not for
not for
long. Yeah,
long.
no.
But you want to know what my favorite interaction with Ashiok's Eraser is, Pablo?
What would that be?
I don't know if you were there for for this game, but this was a pod commander game.
Hmm.
One of my friends slash opponents, his commander is Niv Mizzet.
Oh,
And if you
oh,
know, Niv Mizzet can't be countered, along with a bunch of other mumbo jumbo.
yeah, no,
But
that is it, is it?
but with Ashiok's Erasure being my favorite counter at the time, and still is at least for now,
Yeah.
you best bet when Niv Mizzet came out, I Ashiok Erasered it.
Oh my god, and that's oh my god,
But
that's
it doesn't end there, Pablo. It doesn't end there. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember exactly what happened, but long story short, Ashiok's Erasure got like I don't know removed or something, right? And Niv Mizzet is just back in the command zone. But I think one of us played a spell that allowed us to shuffle our libraries back into our graveyards back into our libraries. And I don't remember what it was I had. Maybe it was like Heuristic Study or some other dumb like I draw
dumb
a
blue
large amount of
card,
cards, some
dumb
dumb
blue
blue card.
card.
But by the time that it got shuffled back, I was still already drawing like half my deck at any point in time. So I'm like, I already have half this deck in my hand, and wouldn't you know, I had Ashiok's Eraser back in my hand, and you best believe the next time he cast a Niv Mizzet, I Ashioked him again.
Get erased, son.
And holy
Get
shit, dude!
erased. Damn it,
I
dude.
after the
How do
fact, it
you
didn't feel
play
terrible.
around that? How do you play around that? It's just you're there. You think you're the safest motherfucker on the planet. It's like I'm gonna cast Chandra. She can't be countered. I'm gonna cast Serpapard or something that can't be countered. And Blue's just like, you know what, man? I love that you have this anti-blue mechanic, but let me do something with a blue mechanic to fucking
Oh,
nerf
dude.
that shit. Just murking it. They're nugging it out of thin air. It's just like, what the-
You best believe that he wasn't able to cast Niv Visit again, because by then he just costed a million bajillion. God,
dude. Blue
I,
can't. Blue can't even protect from itself, man. It's just not happening.
dude. I felt bad about it after the fact, but at the time it was just so funny, dude. I was just like big belly laughing in his face. It's like, okay, but
Well,
that's fine because I'm blue.
yeah, you
See
have to
what you
have a lot
mean?
of mental fortitude to play blue. It's a lot like we were talking about with white. You have to have a little bit of mental fortitude when you're playing blue because people are gonna hate you a little bit. um, yeah, and it's just something you gotta deal with. You just gotta be like, well, yeah. Yeah, I accept this about myself. And then you counter their shit. And then you Ashiok Suresh or unsubstantiate their trash.
You know, speaking of other dumb shit that blue can do,
Hmm.
apart from just dirty, dirty counter spells, they blue also just likes to steal cards.
Yep.
Uh,
That is something that
just controlling permanent, stealing cards from people's hands, just stealing,
is stealing in general. I know what you
just
mean, man. No, it's pretty good. Like red and black have conditional theft. That's again, there's that word. Unconditional. Blue has unconditional like, yo, nice permanent homie. Thanks. And just picks it
uh,
up from your side of the table. And there's nothing you can there's no I'm taking this for the turn. There's no is that in your graveyard? Let me have it. Give me that. And now I'm gonna use it.
I'm just gonna pay my monies and my manas, uh, and I'm just gonna take that creature from your side.
Yeah, it's like, hey, nice Emrakul, buddy. Let me pay 4 mana and take it. Nice, thank
And if
you.
and if you think that the cards in your hand are safe, you best believe you're not safe anywhere, okay? Because blue has a lot of effects where they can just take cards from your hand too and just kind of play them
Yeah, and your deck.
in your deck. True, true.
And
Oh
they're just
god,
I don't know, man. Blue's pretty
color is
cool.
so disgusting.
Blue's pretty
Fucking
cool.
disgusting color.
We should preface this that there are some spells and creatures like in red and black that do this as well. Like Atali does
Hmm.
that. Paco from Paco and Halden. These guys basically like look at like the top card of your deck and then steal that maybe. But blue has stuff like bribery, and bribery is just let me see what's in your deck and get the best thing out, and I'm gonna play that now. All for 5 mana. All for 5 mana. It's just so ridiculous. It's so dumb.
I feel like this whole podcast is just going to be blue is stupid. What a dumb color. Goddamn blue.
Yeah. If you're our friend Megan, she's the one who we were talking about the red player who just absolutely hates blue. You know what, man? This if you ever wanted to listen to a podcast about blue, this is probably the most red-aligned blue review podcast episode that you're ever gonna find because blue is fucking trash for trash people.
Like me, a
Yeah.
trash person.
Dirty casual commanders.
Look, Pablo, you've pretty much raised me to become this trash person, okay? You trash blue player.
Oh no, why?
I blame you. I don't blame you, but
I showed you
I
so
blame
many other
you.
ways. I showed you so many other ways, but you just glommed on the blue. You're just like, hey, wait a second. I like all this other stuff that you're teaching me, but you're saying that if I play blue, stuff just happens? There's not much argument to be made there.
that is that is true. But Blue's got a lot of things it can do, right? So you mentioned earlier why you hate Demir so much, and part of that is because Blue just has a lot of mill cards, library destruction cards, and just
Hmm.
removing cards from the top of the library and then placing them either into the exile graveyard, out of this game, wherever. Just get it out of your deck, okay?
Mm. And this is very much Blue's wheelhouse. It's not Demir. Oh, I mean, it is Demir, but like the most powerful mill cards are always going to be the blue cards because there are some black cards that make everybody mill 3 or something or exile the top card of their library, etc., etc. But a lot of those times, those effects are symmetrical, or maybe they're just one at a time. Blue is here with cards like Traumatize and Maddening Cacophony that just
Oh my
literally
god.
go like, "Hey, everybody, mill half your deck."
Even the name of these cards, dude.
Traumatized, maddening cacophony, glimpse the unthinkable. It's just. Wait, you're trying to say, you know what? Blue doesn't deserve the hate, but what? You, traumatize. You'd think that would be
Yeah.
a black card, right? Nah, dude, it's blue.
You ever played against a blue deck? I know, traumatizing, right? Fucking
Yeah.
disgusting.
Oh yeah. They just dismantle you. They just dismantle you. It's rough.
I, I feel like all of these effects are just kind of like playing into the lore of what blue is, right? And so it's
Hmm.
kind of like, oh, look at all this information you have. Information is power. Get rid of all your power.
No, I mean, again, it's what's the most direct path to winning? Like that's why I think sometimes blue is more red than red because it can do a lot of dumb bullshit. But the Rude Goldberg machine, I'm gonna have a 12 card combo stuff that you think is blue. Usually,
Hmm.
that's blue in artifacts or blue in one other color.
Hmm.
When it's just blue by itself, it's actually very direct in how it wants to win. It'll either try to combo out to do. Oh, and this is one blue effect that we. Oh
What is it, Pablo?
my
Oh
god.
no! What
Okay,
is it?
so
Another dumb effect?
it's another fucking dumb effect. All right. So, one of the rules of Magic is if you are forced to draw a card and you have no cards left to draw, you lose the game. You would think that would be a weakness for blue, the color that should fear drawing out their deck. Like, okay, well, I cast like this uh, not tutor, this Sphinx's insight that just give me 30 cards off the top of my deck, give me 40 cards off the top of my deck.
Just big draw, yeah.
Yeah, and you'd think that one of the pitfalls of that would be, oh no, my deck, there's only 3 cards left. What am I gonna do? I guess I'll lose, right? You'd think that would be like an inherent loss mechanic, a weakness for blue. Fucking no! Fucking no! Blue is the only fucking color that says, hey, with Laboratory Maniac, Jace Wheeler Mysteries, Thassa's
Hmm.
Oracle, and there's another Sphinx. It doesn't like make you win when you reach the bottom of your library, but like it does something. Blue is the only fucking color where reaching the end of your deck and drawing a card to lose is actually a win condition. It doesn't
Wins
even
you the
have that
game.
as a win condition. You win the game. You just win the game. Did you reach the end of the book? You won the game.
Oh God.
Stupid blue bullshit.
Nice.
Ugh.
Nah. I will say mill is not my favorite way to play blue. I don't actually run a lot of mill things in any of my blue decks really.
Mm. And that, you know what? Good for you, Michelle. I know that when you're playing blue, you're more on the control side. So I mean, like that's. I'd rather have that part. I'd rather have blue playing more white aligned than blue playing its pure dumb bullshit blue strengths. Cause
Ah, yes.
Because the dumb, pure blue bullshit strength that blue has is just I don't know, cancerous. I don't know what to say. Anyway,
Well, milling is just one of the many things that blue can do because, well, you were mentioning earlier. Let's go ahead and actually touch on artifacts because blue plays really well with artifacts, like uber ridiculously, disgustingly well with artifacts.
the only thing I have to say is
You sound so done
canonically,
with this shit.
canonically, the most powerful, wise, like I can think of my way out of anything character. I mean, he had his own weaknesses or whatever, but bar none, for the longest time, the most powerful individual in Magic was Urza the Artificer, the Grand Artificer, and his card is basically just play blue and win. Just play blue and win.
Nice.
If you have artifacts, of course, play blue and win. But blue and artifacts, they just go so well together. Blue cares more about artifacts that are in play or in your deck and like tutoring out those artifacts. Red also cares about artifacts, but red does weird graveyard shenanigans with artifacts. Blue is more about like what's here. Except Emery, I guess. See, even the graveyard trash that red is supposed to be good at, blue's just here like I'm gonna
Blue
take
also
a
does it,
little
okay?
bit. What the fuck, man? Blue's so dumb.
Blue just takes a little bit out of every other color. It's like, all right, we'll take this and use this to our advantage because knowledge is
Mm,
power, Pablo.
yeah. So the reason why blue being a strong artifact color is kind of bad is because artifacts they have a lot of effects that can mimic other colors' effects if you pay
Hmm.
enough mana into their activation costs.
Hmm.
So most of the time, like if you're green and you want some targeted creature removal, you'll run Spine of Isha, you'll run Meteor Golem or something to like get rid of something that you can't. Um, which is all well and good because
Hmm.
green doesn't have any inherent synergies with those artifacts. So basically, blue has one weakness left in all of Magic, and it's even like not that big of a weakness. It can't really deal with enchantments.
Yes.
Um, it's just not one of those things it can remove. But uh, and this is just like such a small corner case. Since blue is so good at making artifacts come out, recurring their effects, making the artifacts do something in and out. Like all those artifacts that are supposed to shore up the weaknesses of other colors but are a little bit harder to activate or find or do anything with in the
Hmm.
hands of blue. In the hands of blue, it's like, oh yeah, dude, I always had this. Oh, and let me reduce its cost by 1,000,000. Oh, and also let me double its activation. It's like, what the fuck, Blue? God fucking damn it. Stop, Blue. God.
So you're telling me all these other weaknesses these cards have, blue is just gonna be like, yeah,
How
I'll
about we
just do
ignore
all these
that?
things.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
about the weaknesses, the quote unquote weaknesses that you have artifacts? Well, what if we just don't have those? Like Red's over here, like just treasuring Meteor Golem because it can finally get rid of like the ghostly prison that's stopping it from attacking White ghostly prison. Makes you have to pay mana to attack somebody. And Red's over here going like, finally something that I can do. Blue's over here like, yeah, hey, check it out. I got a Meteor Golem too. Not that I need it, but while it's here, I'm gonna make 7 copies of it and just blow up everyone. Blue is so mad. I hate blue
And
so
chances are that
much.
meteor golem came out for free.
Yeah, chances are, God damn, you hit the nail on the head. This is why you're a professional, dude.
I-
No, dude, it's fine. It's just blue being blue. You'll also find that in a lot of the colors that blue is I can't remember like how badly the imbalance was, but if you ever look at a deck that maybe isn't just Simic related or Demir related, if blue is in part of that color proportion, it is there like 40% of the cards, 50% of the cards, 60% of the cards. If you can run blue in a deck, it'll take a lion's share of what cards you're running. And it's just, I mean, of course, there's that's just like the average. You can say that, oh yeah, I have a Esper deck or a Jeskai deck and we barely run blue at all. Good, great, nice for you. That's not what other people are doing. They're like pretending that their other decks have other colors, but it's not. It's just blue in the
it's just blue.
background. Yeah. Like
Pure.
basically what other colors do is give a different flavor into what their counter spell is doing. Is like, oh, I'm gonna add some white into this counter spell. Well, now I gain life when I counter your spell. I'm gonna put some red into this counter spell. Now I copy that counter spell, the spell that I'm countering. I'm gonna put green into this counter spell. Well, I'm also drawing more cards or the counter spell when you add green to it. Like I'm gonna save this mana for later counterspell, or I'm gonna make like an ooze or something. Black and blue. Black and blue.
Tell me all about that black and blue, Pablo.
Oh my god, their counter spells are so mean. It's like, oh well, I mean, maybe do you want to counter this? If you want the spell to go through, well, how about you mill like however many cards, or discard your hand, or they're just dumb bullshit. That was fucking stupid, dude. I hate blue.
I feel like the longer we go on, like with all the things that blue, and we're about halfway into this list of all the things that blue is like specializing in. I'm like, oh god, the more we talk, the more I feel disgusted with myself.
Blue is a rough call. Look, man.
Ugh.
People don't usually think too hard about blue if they're playing blue. Most of the time, when you're disgusted by blue, you're playing against it. But
Mhm.
when you're playing it, you don't think about it too much. You're like, whatever, it's blue. Counter spells happen in Magic. But then you realize like the depth of how much that counter spell lore, and like the catalog of just the variety of bullshit those counter spells can do. Then you start like, hating yourself a little bit. It's okay. It's
Just a little.
2021. Therapy is a good thing now. Just go get it, because you probably will need it after you play blue.
Or if you play against blue.
Yeah, just blue is just gonna send everybody to the crazy house, man. It's terrible.
Oh God. Well, we were talking earlier how blue can steal things, but along with that, blue can also just copy spells.
Mhm.
So not necessarily just kind of taking spells, but just duplicating and copying spells either from your hand or from an opponent's hand or from the battlefield or whatever it is.
Mhm. That's something that shares with red, by the way.
Hmm.
So it's the copying spells thing. That's just a weird effect. Thankfully, it's not so busted. It's actually more busted in red than it is in blue.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when you're in red and you're trying to copy a spell, it's copying the counter spell that blue just
Just countered.
yeah, so you can counter
I
the counter
counter
spell.
your counter spell.
Yeah, it's just here's the hardest thing about that, man. Like, again, I'm talking about blue breeding blue. Basically, you're playing red, and the only thing that you can do when blue is countering your spell is literally making a copy of that blue counter spell. So you have to be, even if you're in red, you're playing blue to stop blue, because blue is the only thing that can stop blue.
Blue contaminates everything it touches. Okay.
To be fair, there's also like red spells like Pyroblast and Red Elemental
Yeah.
Blast that just counter blue spells
Blue
outright.
spells specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when
But
we're when we're talking about like what red uses copy spells for, I mean, yeah, sometimes they're gonna copy like a 20x fireball to deal 20 damage and kill somebody outright. Nah, dude. When somebody's running a reiterate or a reverberate or a fork, a lot of the times when they're using that, they're just trying to counter a blue counter spell that's already countering them. It's just madness.
yeah. But I guess that's why blue and well do work fairly well together because they do share that quite well. Okay.
Hmm.
But I mean, they copy blue copies spells, but it can also shapeshift. So creatures changing into other creatures, and just morph abilities.
Yeah, no.
And morph occurs in all colors, but it happens most often in blue. So like Pongify or Curse of the Swine, and those are the cards that replace creatures with other creatures, usually weaker than the creatures that you've replaced them with.
Yeah. Wizards of the Coast likes to pretend that this is just a color, either a color bend or something that blue's always been able to do with like Ophiomancer or something, and it's just Ovidomancer. Basically, blue has always had this um, ability to polymorph and turn things into sheep and shit. But let's call a spade a spade. This is blue's removal. It's not unconditional removal, not
Hmm.
like white or black. In the way that the once the removal happens, it's just gone forever. I mean, in that sense of being conditional, but it is destroying or exiling something permanently, or as close to permanent
Hmm.
as you can get in the Magic. So, like, it always used to be another one of Blue's weaknesses was just like it can't remove permanents. It can only delay them or counter them. Blue's another one of Blue's removal is bounce effects, which actually I really like. I think bounce effects are like some of the best uh, workarounds for blue ever, because
Yeah.
it, it shouldn't be able to deal with something permanently unless it's a spell. Um,
But
but
also you can use bounce mechanics to kind of protect yourself or your creatures too.
but as far as Commander goes in EDH, a lot of colors are dictated by staples, um, of what you're gonna run when you have those colors. It's not that blue has a lot of removal. It doesn't. It doesn't. Like white has way more, black has way more, but it has just the same amount of those staples as those other colors. We can talk about how white has like 12 million removal spells, but you only ever run not Path of Ancestry, Path to
Swords of
Exile,
Plowshares.
and Swords to Plowshares, exactly. Generous Gift is in there now too, but like, there's not that many. Blue has just as many. It has Pongify, it has Rapid Hybridization, it has Reality Shift, and it has now Amphin Mutineer and Phyrexian Ingester. Like, just because we say that White has way more removal, that doesn't mean that it's good removal. Blue has good removal, and that's another reason why Blue fucking sucks.
And you only need a set amount of removal in a deck too. So even though white does have a large amount, if blue has like I don't know, just for example's sake, like 5 removal compared to white's bajillion gajillion removal.
hmm
How
But
many removal do you really need to run in the deck? You know?
exactly, you only need to run like again using old metrics, 5 to 10. Blue already has those 5 covered. Uh, and that's all it's going to need. It's only going to need those 5, and then the rest is counter spells. White's going to be over there, like, looking at their removal. And again, it's very nice removal, but it's like, yes, my Wanderer's Strike, the 5 CMC that lets me exile a creature and proliferate. So great. As white looks at blue Pongify for 1 blue mana.
Blue is strong, y'all. Okay,
Blue is very strong, guys.
blue is strong.
The only thing it can't do is ramp, and and, and we can't even really say that because blue does have a few ritual spells, and blue does have really weird artifacts that are in blue that, like, ramp as well. It's not like permanent ramp like green does or something, but it is not a true statement to say that blue doesn't ramp. Not the way that white's kind of completely just murking themselves with ramp. Blue has
Yes.
ways to ramp.
But we were talking earlier about how blue also just likes to kind of sit there and do a bunch of things on its own board while everybody else just kind of watches. And part of that is the fact that blue has a lot of tapping and untapping abilities. So
hmm
tapping other permanents to kind of take away power, preventing a creature from engaging in combat, blocking, activating abilities, etc. And then untapping other permanents so you give them extra uses, so to block or to activate your abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's just a very easy way to infinite combo. It's just, I mean, white shares the tapping ability now, which I guess is nice. It's something, I guess. It's something, I guess.
Oh no.
But right, the blue does have the tapping and untapping down. Good for them.
Yeah, and that, as far as I know, a lot of the tapping and untapping effects works really well in like Bant. Bant is it Bant? Bant is white, green, and blue, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, to be
Yeah,
fair,
and Bant and Simic. Yeah.
yes, exactly. It's just the colors with activations, which are mostly creature relegated. So you do have Bant, you do have Simic, like the ones. Hey, I'm gonna tap this thing. It works very well. And again, uh, Jeskai, very very much so.
Hmm.
It leads into very easy infinites. The power to tap and untap is amazing. Blue has the power to untap. Like the tapping part is one thing, and that's nice. That's the part that it shares with white. The power to untap is the fucking busted as balls thing. That's where you get things that like, hey, I'm gonna tap this one guy to untap this other guy to untap this one guy again, and then every time I untap, I'm gonna ping you for 1 million. Like that's
Mm. Then you
untapping
just
is
yeah.
powerful.
Then you just create lots of dumb combos, which is why cards like Azami, Lady of Scrolls is fucking busted. Okay,
Hmm.
just
Uh,
untap wizards all day, every day, and
yeah,
draw a card while you're at it.
yeah, and you have stuff like Pemin's Aura that untap stuff. You have Freed from the Real. Basically, just untapping. Untapping is busted, and also one of the ways that blue ramps. Because if you're untapping a land,
Ooh.
hey, check it out, you're using it again.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Hmm.
The thing that comes to mind is you know that I play Derby, Pablo,
Oh yeah, yes I
and you
do.
know how people feel about Derby.
I do know how people feel Derby.
People hate Derby.
People like Derby.
Derby is for my end started off as a good old simple bird deck, okay? Derby and her army of birds. But then I realized that Derby is a stacks commander, and then I started leaning hard into stacks. So I haven't built the deck or upgraded the deck in a hot minute because then people just like get really
Well,
angry
why?
when I
Yeah,
play the deck.
why do you need to why do you need to upgrade such a it's tumorous malignant deck? It just
Because it could be more optimized, okay, Pablo? I
all
could get rid
right.
of birds and add more stacks
But
pieces,
can
which
you live with yourself afterwards?
I haven't gotten to that, but one of these days I'll build up the inner muscle or whatever to do it
Yeah.
because I only ever play it with you. But Derby is the deck that people have pretty much labeled me as a pillow fort player for.
Oh no, they didn't say that about you. They said that you were a nasty, disgusting stacks player with the Derby deck. The Pillow
Oh
Fort thing is
wait,
something completely different. You are
oh
a
wait,
disgusting
oh
stacks
god.
player with Derby.
Oh no, I think you're right. I don't know. All these things blend together. All these decks have blue in it. Blue is gross.
Gross. So
But
gross.
Derby is one of the decks that has labeled me as just a dirty, dirty player in general. Not that I ever play Derby anymore, because it does make me feel kind
It's
of
it's
kind of
just
scared.
it's
Okay,
just
but
the threat that you could pull it out. That's all. That's just nasty.
yeah, and blue is one of those colors too, where people will see like a certain deck that you pull out, and then immediately they'll just regardless again of board state or board presence, they'll just be like, he's blue, kill him first or her.
Yeah. No, it depends on your commander a lot of the time, but yeah, if it's mono blue, they'll raise eyebrows at you. It's just the nature of the way it is. It's just yo mono blue. You're probably leaning into the dumb shit that blue can do. Even if it's like the most innocuous like blue commander, well, how are you gonna expect to win? Unless you're just there to speed bump people. Um, if you're playing mono blue, you're probably going to have some of the good stuff blue cards like Cyclonic Rift and just yeet everybody's permanents back to their hands, or mana drain and just steal everybody's shit. It's just. Or it's not everybody's shit, but everybody's mana, and it's just the power behind blue is so hard to ignore.
No kidding. Whatever blue touches, it just kind of just a little bit of a boof. You know what I mean?
No, it's
Just
not. It's not a little,
just a little bit,
dude. It
okay,
is not a little. A
Pablo.
little. You get the fuck out of here. A little.
Just a little bit of a big boof.
Okay, that little bit of a big buff. Yeah, you're right. You're right
Real
there.
big of a big boof. Uh, we're not even done. We're not even done going through all the dumb shit that blue can do, right? I mean, like a lot of these things, honestly, blue does share with other colors. They're just very so prominent in blue that it's like, oh, this is also a blue thing.
Yeah, like we can run by them real fast. It's all good.
Like evasion and stealth, aka flying, or creatures that are just kind of hard to pin down.
Yep,
That's in
blue.
blue.
Blue has a lot of unblockable dudes. It's just I don't know. What do you, thankfully there's not too much to talk about this. It's just hey,
Yeah.
my commander. Um, you can't stop it. Please take 35 commander damage.
Yeah, and white has a lot of flying creatures, but I think blue might have more.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I yeah.
And black also has a lot of full stop unblockable creatures, but blue has more. So
So blue just has a lot of evasion and stealth, but along with that, they also can create illusions and stuff too. So things
That
that kind of disappear when you interact with them, right?
Yeah, to be fair, that's not as a big part of blue as it used to be. Like that used to be a really big part
Ah,
around late 90s, early 2000s that blue would be making illusion tokens. It's still a part of it, yeah, but it's not huge anymore. Like I don't think you you know, newer player as you are, you haven't seen that many illusions just running around in the wild, have you?
no, I haven't.
Yeah.
Usually, what is it? I think it's spirits that I see, not illusions. Those are two different things.
Yeah, and spirits are
Yeah.
nice because they actually stick around. Illusions are
Yeah.
okay, but you know they're not as prevalent as they used to be.
And where
What else do we have left to cover? Creature types and what?
oh, so just the general creeper types, creature types that blue just has. So the tribes and all the other dumb dumb tribes,
Here,
dumb bullshit.
I'll sum it up so I can, you know, I can help you out a little bit here. Blue is the tribe of Vidalcan, Merfolk, wizards. Uh, Bottom line, Merfolk has a little bit more tribal synergy than the others. Bottom line, a lot of these motherfuckers have activations that you can totally bust up with Blue's untap abilities. The end.
Big combo pieces
Yep.
all work together to make big combo plays.
Yep. Very individually weak creatures, but the effects that they have are incredible. Again, like Thassa's Oracle, a lot of the Vidalcan that just have weird synergies with other artifacts that make win conditions. These are your combo enablers. Peregrine Drake, Deadeye Navigator. These guys flicker so much that
Hmm.
every time they flicker, they do some crazy bullshit thing. If you are a mono blue tribe, chances are you're going to have a weird activation that you can totally abuse. Even though your body is small and weak and maybe you don't have a lot of attack power, it's not about that. It's about when they tap that creature to make it do
Mhm.
something. That's when the power of blue shines through as creatures.
Yeah, so if you're playing a mono blue deck, have fun. Uh, Bit of a learning curve, like we said earlier. So it might take you a little bit of time for you to kind of adjust to playing your deck and just kind of figuring out some of the things your deck can do. And sometimes, even if you've played it for a hot minute, sometimes you'll find things, new combos or new interactions just within your deck that you didn't realize before. So
Hmm.
there's just a lot of things that you can do just within blue by itself. But of course, you can always mix it with some other colors just for a little bit more variety, and just kind of jump in, have fun.
Right. If you're in blue, here. For EDH's standpoint, you're never gonna have enough counter spells as when you're losing. You're never gonna have enough counter spells for everybody. So try to hone when you're gonna be using those counter spells, and always remember that people are gonna be looking at you when you pull out that blue deck.
Hmm. And always remember, blue is unconditionally disgusting.
Unconditional. Oh baby, that is good. That is some good stuff. Oh man, I think that's where we're gonna end. Usually we'd like to put like a little bit of like, hey, what did you do this week? But I cannot think of anything better than that.
Okay. Dude,
So
I was doing all this fucking research for blue, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, my notes are long as fuck. All these things that blue can do, what the fuck?
dude. I'm gonna be inserting the outro music right here. But yeah, dude, blue, fucking disgusting, unconditionally disgusting.
Oh man, am I funny or what, Pablo?
You're unconditionally
I'm
funny.
not. I'm not very funny.
Unconditionally funny.
No. Okay.
Okay, y'all. Thanks for listening. Leave a review. Oh, the intro and outro music is done by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.